Welcome to Talking Voiceovers. Today we'll be talking to Bert about graphic design and marketing for voiceover artists. Welcome, Joe. Tell us who you are.
I'm a graphic designer. I specialize in brand development for creatives and small businesses, as well as marketing over social media, specifically Facebook and Instagram. Not only do I market the brand's business, but I create content that is in line with your brand's vision. Because I am a creative myself and I understand what it takes to be a creative and the missions of marketing yourself.
Do you think that having a logo is important to a voice artist who is actually working in sound? Why would they need a visual aid like a logo?
I think it's very important to have a visual aid if you're going to be marketing yourself over visual platforms like social media, just to identify yourself and for people to easily locate you, the very fast-paced scrolling of most social media. If you're working only in sound though, then having a visual logo isn't so important. However, you do need to have something that will identify you from the rest. So if it's just sound, then you want to have an audio logo, I guess you would say. I wouldn't be able to help with.
No, we'd need a sound engineer there.
Yeah.
And business cards, are they still an in thing?
I think so. I think it's always handy to have a business card. It's always nice to be able to give someone a physical piece of paper that they can keep. Even if they throw it away afterwards, they still remember the interaction of handing the business card and looking at it. Hopefully when they see it, it's striking enough that just the visual aesthetic of it sticks in their brain, so that maybe when they're later scrolling on Instagram or Facebook and they see that same logo, they think, I know this person. I have met them in person, so I automatically trust them. And it's easier to start working with the person once you've interacted with them.
So hopefully when COVID's all behind us and we can do some face-to-face networking.
Yeah, business cards then. Unfortunately now with COVID, it's not so easy to hand out business cards, but in the same light, you can always have a digital business card. So maybe your header on Facebook or your email signature perhaps could be a business card.
That's a good point. Yeah, I never thought of it that way. Good point.
Just something that is clear. It's got your name, it's got your contact information, it's got what you do. So they see it, they think, oh yes, it's this person, I know them, I trust them.
Brilliant. That is a very good point. I like that. Where would you come in for a voiceover business? Do voiceovers need to market themselves and have a clear brand?
Yes, I definitely think so. You as the voiceover are the brand. Your branding would need to explain why you're different from the other voiceover artists, what makes you special, why someone would want to use you as opposed to the other voiceover artists. That would come into your brand development with your visual elements, so the actual logo that you're using, what it looks like, what colors it's got, the style of it as well, or the fonts that you use. They can explain a lot about what your brand does. So for example, if you were using bright colors in your logos, potential clients would see your logo and they would know immediately that you're fun, you're spunky, you're not just a bland, boring color, which if you're a voiceover artist that is doing maybe corporate voice acting or e-learning or something that requires lots of concentration, you would maybe have more professional colors like navy blue, dark green. Whereas if you're doing things like fun children's videos or craft things or anything maybe creative and spunky, you could use brighter colors, more flamboyant fonts. I also think that when it's something like voiceover, most people that I've seen tend to use a microphone or some other type of recording tool, which is of course perfect because you want the idea that you're a voice recording artist to be the forefront of what people see, but you want to do it in such a way that your microphone is different from everybody else's microphones, because if they're all the same, then how are people going to know which one to choose? So you would want your graphic designer to stylize your visual elements in a way that communicates who you are as a brand.
Tell us why somebody should use a graphic designer rather than trying to do it themselves.
Well, trying to do it yourself is all great, and I understand that on a budget, it's a lot easier. And there are all sorts of websites that can auto-generate you a logo. But the thing with that is these websites don't take into account what is really special about your brand, what is really unique and makes you completely different from all the other voiceover artists. These websites are going to be just generating a little graphic that now anyone else who uses that website will end up with the same thing if they are putting in the same parameters as you. So when you use a graphic designer, you've got the human element, the creative human element of someone who can identify with your brand. When you're using a human graphic designer, you've got the creativity that you don't get with computers. And also, most graphic designers have studied or at least have experience in the industry and know what potential clients might be looking for, what tricks they can use to sway clients in your direction with subconscious marketing techniques and color perceptions, because all sorts of colors and fonts and styles, as I said earlier, have different connotations with how you perceive them and what you think this brand is going to have before you even look into it. When you do it yourself or you're using a computer, you don't get all of that experience with your designs. The computer ones, they tend to be the same as anyone else, and you get pretty generic looking logos, which doesn't help you stand out from the crowd. And doing it yourself can be great, and you can have that creative human element. And when you do it yourself, you understand your brand better than anyone else, but you don't have the experience that a graphic designer would have. You don't know those tricks that you might need to communicate the messages you want to communicate.
So once you've got a logo and a brand designed by a graphic designer, what do you do with it? How do you market yourself with that logo?
I would strongly suggest getting onto social media, Facebook and Instagram, LinkedIn being the most popular ones for professionals, especially. From there, you would need more than just a logo. You would now need a brand identity, which is your brand past the logo. You want to share content that when people they see this content and they immediately understand that this content is connected to this logo, which is connected to this brand. Sometimes even if you do it well enough, you can bypass the logo. People see your content, they recognize the color, the font, the message, and they know automatically it belongs to this voiceover artist. And you can do that by sticking to the same colors, sticking to the same fonts. So I would suggest on social media that you're posting actively, which is maybe once a week minimum. You're sharing to all sorts of new people, trying to get your message out as far as possible to new people who might be potential clients or who might share your message to other potential clients, or they don't need your services themselves.
So you should be targeting a specific kind of people, not just posting what you ate for lunch with your logo next to it and sending it out on Instagram randomly?
Well, yes, of course, you want to be posting relevant content. So content that will make people understand what you do. It's not just your personal day-to-day life. Sure, if you want to include that in your brand, then that is part of your brand. But if it's not an integral part of your brand, then you want to be posting just content that will further the message that you're trying to say. I think one of the most important things in branding is figuring out your message. What makes you unique, what you want to tell people, and why you want to tell those people. Then you want to figure out which people you want to tell this to, or else you're just going to end up shouting into the void of the internet, which isn't going to help.
Where can people reach you if they're interested in chatting about developing their own brands, logos?
Well, I am very active on Facebook and Instagram. You can find me at Josephose. I am on LinkedIn as well, and I have a website and an email address. So if you want to contact me, anything at Josephose will reach me.
Fabulous. We'll put the link below so everybody can find you. By the way, Josephose does all my branding. So if you think it's pops and it's got color and it's going somewhere, that's where it comes from. Well, thank you, Jo. That was really interesting and something different. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Bye.
Bye.
That was Talking Voiceovers. If you enjoyed this interview, give us a thumbs up and subscribe to the YouTube channel or follow us on your favorite podcast platform.